Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Slim Flippers podcast. And I am joined this evening by Dennis, the Free King Flipper, and Chad, the Quirky Picker. Gentlemen, how you doing this evening?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm great.
Appreciate you guys joining us. You both have come together here recently to form your own podcast, and that is the Full-Time Flippers Reselling podcast. How's that going for both of you?
It's historic. It's breaking all of the boundaries of podcasting. I mean, it's crazy. My phone is just nonstop ringing, and you know, I'm just glad I get the time to spend some quality minutes with you, Wes. But now it's slow. It's slow going.
Well,
but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm on another one too. The Finders Flippers Resell podcast. It's spelled differently now. So
cool.
We wanted to be at the very, very bottom. That way, the climb that we take, we'll enjoy it the further we go. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
I'm sure you all understand that as well.
We're all on a level playing field. We're all the same. We just love talking about reselling.
We just had our 11th episode, so we passed that 10 episode threshold.
So double digits.
Yeah, right.
I think on this one right here, this may be like there's so many I've just lost count. Chad was actually involved in one of those. Chad, can you believe it's already been 4 months ago since we had a conversation?
No, that was my first experience with podcasting at all. So I mean, yeah, I remember it vividly. It was a good time.
It was a good time. So I'm glad to have you back. I appreciate you joining me. First thing I want to talk about, Dennis, I'll start with you. How do you handle negative feedback, and what is your protocol that you follow when you do receive negative feedback?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't had 100% feedback in years, at least 2 years. I'm at like 99 point something. I think it's just a part of business, really. I mean, you can't please everyone. You really can't. I do go above and beyond. I accept returns. I will reach out to the customer. I will do whatever I can to make them happy. And just sometimes you just can't make them happy. They're angry. They're upset that they didn't get what they wanted, or they thought they didn't get what they wanted when, my descriptions are great. My pictures are outstanding. So usually I will reach out. Hey, can I do anything? Can you revise it? And some of them, you get, and it's just out of the blue, and you're like, whoa, where did that happen? Very few of them will actually reach out to you and be like, hey, this is what's wrong, or this is what I don't like about it. They don't even give me a chance to fix it. Those are the toughest ones. I'll reach out. I'll try to do the revision. Those are, I think, 1 in 100. That's where I'm at with revisions. But I've learned to just live with it, really. Don't sweat it. Just move on to the next sale. Make 50 more sales, and it's really doesn't matter in the long run of things. So
it's almost like you're hoping that your Boston Celtics hope they hit every shot, but that's not going to happen. Representing the Celtics tonight, that they're not going to hit every shot.
Right.
And they're not going to get every call. So you just manage what you can, and you try to move on from that. Chad, what about you?
I tried to get rid of them. I will reach out. I shared a story on one of our podcasts. This lady, I sold some Avon. I was selling a whole bunch of Avon products. It was all sealed, unopened, but it was expired, or it was old. But apparently, bug spray has an expiration date on it, and I didn't realize it. A lot of the creams and other Avon products, hairsprays and different things, they don't have expiration date, but for some reason the bug spray did. She, as soon as she got it, she was so upset. She gave me negative feedback and accused me of selling expired products and how they were toxic, and I could have killed her, or basically she's implying I could have done serious damage to her. And so, I mean, she was mad, and so I'm like, I said, thanks you for, I didn't realize this was the case. I replied, I think in the feedback saying, I'm sorry. I got rid of all the product that had expired. And so, but I didn't know it. And I said, other people had actually listed it on eBay. So I just wasn't aware that it was, it was illegal to sell on eBay. And she responded back to my response. And cause I get they get the last word, I guess, in feedback. And she said, "You are a liar." She said, "You knew exactly what you were doing. You purposely left the expiration date off of the listing so that you could sell it." And I'm like, as soon as she said that, I'm like, cha-ching. So I contacted eBay and I said, this person, what I did was wrong. And I realized that, but this person is calling me a liar. So now she's attacking she's attacking me personally. And so eBay said, yep. And so they removed the feedback because there was no chance I was getting that feedback removed the way it was. So my advice is if you get a bad feedback, see if you can trigger the person into calling you a liar or calling you names or a personal attack. And then you'll guarantee that you'll get that removed.
Go for the trigger, right?
Right.
Well, I received one 2 weeks ago. I'd sold, it was just a hat. And it literally was the next day, the first day I could ship it, because I sold it like at 8:00 at night. So the next morning I was going to ship it out. And he sends me a message. Well, it's in Spanish. So I quickly get on my phone. I'm trying to read this. He's like, "Why have you not sent my hat yet? This is ridiculous." Da, 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 da. I was like, "What are you talking about? I just got the order like 8 hours prior." And you have 5 days to ship it out. And I said, "Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. This item will be shipped today." And I did. I shipped it out. But he left me negative feedback, and it's still there. And I'm not sure what to do with that. eBay always seems to side with them, the buyer. Yeah. So, but Dennis, like you said, whatever.
We could brainstorm on how to trigger them. Let's see what we say.
Snarky comments.
Snarky comments. Well, I appreciate you purchasing this, but please don't purchase anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a block button for a reason.
So, Chad, are you still out buying vacuum cleaners and boom boxes and all that good stuff that we talked about earlier?
I bought an Electrolux vacuum cleaner for $50 at a yard sale on Saturday. Had all the attachments, and I comped it. It should sell for close to $200. Nice. And then I got a free rainbow vacuum cleaner hose and attachment at one yard sale. And then I bought some old Eureka hoses and attachments for 50 cents. 2 of them for 50 cents. I'm like, well,
50 cents.
All right. Yeah, right. Here's your 2 quarters, and I'm going to make about $40 on them. So yes, I am. Yep. Any chance I get.
Now I know. Also, you had, I think it was like a sound design or something. I remember the boom box because I had one of those that you sold.
Had I sold it at that time? I know. I think
we were talking about it. I think you had bought it for it was like $25.
$20, and it had an 8-track tape player in it. It was like an
the
80s.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I sold that. I'm pretty sure it went for $700 is what I ended up getting for it. And it went overseas. So I'm like, good, because they can't return it once it goes overseas.
Yeah.
But Dennis, so I can learn a little bit more about what you do. Now, how long have you been in reselling, and what is some of your niches that you like to do?
Oh, I started part-time in 2008. And it was literally to make some extra money so I could buy some in-game items on video games. That is the sad truth. So I'd go around, I'd find free books and flip books, and then I started to make a little bit more money. And then my wife was like, "Hey, we need a couple $100 for Christmas. We're short." So okay, I'd run out, go to some thrift stores, grab what, my limited knowledge at that time. I'd grab some stuff and start flipping, and went full time 3 years ago. So this is my only gig. My livelihood depends on me making a quota for the week, and hopefully more than that. But I enjoy selling all vintage stuff, video games, old electronics like Chad, speakers, receivers, stuff like that, tape decks, VHS, and vintage toys. So I'm a kid of the 80s, so I really love G.I. Joe, Transformers, Hot Wheels, and, stuff like that. So that stuff, I could sell that all day long. It's getting harder and harder to find. And then media, you can see in the back here, I do a ton of media. And recently, Poshmark, and I'm doing clothing. So I probably have about 200 items on Poshmark, and it just helps. It's just a little extra money every week. And that's everything from women's clothing, jeans, shoes, purses, anything that I can find that's free or people just giving it away, and I'll grab it and list it. So
well, we had talked off camera just a minute before we started recording, and you were giving something free today. Could you kind of share that item?
Yeah, right back here you can see on my workbench. Those are 3 Rockford Fosgate amps for a car. I think the model numbers are like 500, 600 something. I literally just got them today, so I haven't even cleaned them or tested them or anything. But the comps look good. A few $100s for one of them. I think 85 for another, and maybe just over another 100 for another one. So I got a Kenwood in the other. There was 5 of them in the box. The Kenwood I haven't even pulled out yet, but yeah. So hence the name. I just have a weird knack of just finding free stuff all the time. So why fight it? And then that's it. So kind of a play on words.
Right. The free stuff has a great price.
Yeah,
that's a great price. That's a great dollar to spend. You had mentioned too that you sell VHS tapes.
Yeah.
How does that go for you? And what specific tapes, if you could tell somebody to be on the lookout for, what would you tell them?
Horror, and the gruesome, the better. The more 70s and 80s, the better. We're talking like obscure, just ridiculous. Slumber Party Massacre type stuff, you know what I'm saying? That stuff flies. It flies. And if you're lucky enough to find some that's sealed, you're looking at hundreds of dollars for a VHS tape. Most of the tapes I find are junk. It's opened, it's mass produced, it's movies that we've all seen 100 times, and there's no real cult following for that stuff. But sci-fi, horror, sealed stuff, you'll find it at yard sales. Sometimes thrift stores, not a lot. Marketplace, people giving it away for nothing. I found a tub of like 80s horror movies, all the Halloweens, Friday the 13th, and then just some ridiculous titles that I've never seen before. It's just slasher stuff.
Yeah.
That if you can find that, you're on your way. You will make some good money.
And I picked up one for $1 this weekend. I described it because I like it. National Lampoon's Animal House.
Oh, cool.
What do you think about that one? It's actually in really good shape. The cover and everything looks great on it.
So it's not a reprint. It's like the original one.
It's original. So what had happened, the person had passed away, so it was a estate sale, and they had it for a very, very long time.
Nice.
And that's what I looked at, see if it was a reprint, but it is not.
Yeah, good.
Did you check the sold comps then to see if it was worth anything?
I didn't have time when I bought it. It was just $1, so I just grabbed it and took it. I was like, well, if it don't sell, I like it. So
yeah,
great movie. Such a great movie.
Chad, thinking about some other things that you sell, and I know we had talked, like I said, 4 or 5 months ago. What is, and I've done this on another podcast, what is one thing you pass by all the time you will never pick up at like a yard sale?
Now, we talk about this on our podcast all the time. Every week we share at least one item that we wouldn't pick up anymore. We have it's called BOLOs and NOLOs. We have a section where the NOLO is what we would not buy again. So I'd have to look at my list to see what all our NOLOs have been over the last 10 episodes. What was it last week? It was the telephone pole insulators. I think it was.
Telephone pole insulators.
You know what those are? The glass things that used to sit on top of a phone, and they wrap the telephone wires or power wires around them because they would insulate from the ground. We see them all the time at yard sales, and they look like they should be worth something maybe. And there are a handful that are. We went over that in the last episode of the podcast. But most of them are worth just a few dollars. I sold one for $4 the other day plus shipping, but that's one item I wouldn't pick up. We talked about milk glass. We've talked about clear glass in our last episode.
Collector plates.
Anything glass I want to stay away from. But I mean, there is some stuff I would pick up. But on our last Finder Slippers podcast, we decided we would just challenge ourselves, and we'd go to that one area and pick up one item to purchase to see if we could just sell it. And two of us ended up with coffee mugs. One of them was with Starbucks, so that's not
That's
not
good.
too bad, But I don't see myself venturing out and buying coffee mugs all the time. Those are you just steer and baby stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis talked about coffee mugs one episode as well.
Oh, I still have a whole shelf back here that I think that what happened was the shipping went up. So someone's like, I'm not spending $11, $12 for a coffee mug,
Right.
For just the shipping, because they're always just over £1. They're like, you get charged for that £2 rate. And then I'm going to be shipping a Starbucks mug out to California. Just the shipping alone is $12 or more. And they're like, well, I'm not going to spend $8 for a mug. How about $2? It's like, yeah, that's where I'm out.
Well, you're also running the risk of it breaking if you don't pack it where it doesn't move, But it looks like, Dennis, your shop back there, I mean, you do have a pile of stuff behind you.
This stuff just came in here. I haven't taken pictures. My photo booth is that way. So it comes in from the storage over here. It gets put down here. It gets photographed, and then it goes on the shelf. And then just keep on
and you
repeating.
Hopefully it quickly leaves, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some stuff, all the good stuff always sells quick, right? I mean, that's how it works. Nobody wants the crap that I'm buying.
Well, I've tried to limit myself, especially in the last few months. Stuff I just thought, this would be a great item. For example, Tupperware. I kind of have an inside track on it because my mom when I was growing up, she was actually a Tupperware dealer.
Nice.
And so I know a lot of the things that I'm looking at. But even then, I mean, Tupperware is a good item to have.
Right.
We like glass in our family, but what Tupperware would you buy?
Pickle, the pickle keeper thing. That's you especially get the thing that comes up and down.
Yeah, right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are great. I like the strainers too.
Salt and pepper shakers.
Salt and pepper shakers.
I think it's almost a square, and it's got a lid, and then it's got a handle.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those? It's got it's probably 9x9 with a clear top, and it's normally like that tangerine orange color.
Yeah. Is it a lunchbox?
Flat and long and flat, and a picnic type thing. I've sold those in the past, but
it's a lunchbox.
Okay,
is what that is, because it come with little sandwich keepers and things in it.
Mine didn't, but I could see where it could. Yeah.
All right.
So Dennis, when we're out on the road and we find Tupperware, we'll call Wes. He'll know.
Yeah. I'll just get a whole box of it. Yeah. Here you go. Take it.
I'll hook you up and say, hey, all right, hit me with what you got, and then I'll have to get my mom on the other line and say, hey. So how did you two form your alliance for this full-time Flippers Reselling podcast?
Some dude just kept messaging me for like 2 months. Hey, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I have no idea who you are. And finally, I'm like, let's at least talk on the phone. And he's like, I really want to do a podcast. I really want to do it. I think we both sell some of the similar items, and it just works.
I think that's helpful when you both selling similar things, because you have that same language that you can talk. For me, like my podcast, I like to talk to a variety of different people. But I'm going to throw since I am a basketball referee, I'm going to throw this at you, Dennis. Who are they playing tomorrow night?
Cleveland. Cleveland won their series in 7 games against Orlando of all teams. So we are already favored. Minus 600 is the money line if you're gambling, and we are favored by, I think it's 11 points, minus 11.5. So we have home court. We're the best team in the NBA in the regular season. So I say Celtics in 5 games over Cleveland. And then we will probably play the Knicks on the next series. So
now, would that be the conference championship series?
Yeah. That's
what about the Western Conference? Who would be the favorites over there?
Oh man, I haven't even had a second to even do the math over there. I still think Denver is just this ridiculous powerhouse. I don't know. They're just nasty. So I don't want to play them. I really don't. So the Joker over there, have you seen him play? He's just
Honestly, I haven't
cumbersome.
watched much of the NBA lately.
Oh man, he is so slow. The guy is so slow, and I'm offending a ton of Denver people right now. But anyway, his assists, he'll just do like a behind the back. He'll just tip it to the net. I mean, the guy is unbelievable, and he can just pull up and just shoot the ball. Like what? But he's so like cumbersome and just slow. It's really fun to watch him like trot up the court and trot back. But he is a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think we have anybody that would match up against him. So that's why I'm kind of just like, it's a long way away, you know, one series at a time, but I don't want anything to do with that team. I really don't.
Chad, what about you? Are you in the pro sports, or are you just all Ohio State?
Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, they're really bad right now. I started off the season. I told Dennis this is their year, and then like that, a few days later, they lost 3 key players for long-term injuries, and one guy got suspended for using PEDs. But one of the guys that got injured, TJ Friedel, the center fielder, he's coming back maybe tomorrow. So he was supposed to be out until like almost July, and he broke his wrist in spring training diving for a ball in the outfield. I'm like, you shouldn't be diving in spring training, but he did and broke his wrist. But no, now they just I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
Chad, he gets passionate.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's my other podcast interest is Cincinnati Reds podcast, other than reselling. There's like Locked On Reds. There's the Riverfront. I watch about maybe 3 of them. The Riverfront has 2 different podcasts, and yeah, I'm usually chatting with those guys and on live chats and stuff as well. But
speaking of the college game, have you noticed where I think it was Ohio State lost one of their big men, I think, to Tennessee?
You can't. It's like a big carousel right now in college basketball, especially when you lose your head coach. Well, he gets fired, but everybody that played for that coach wants to leave, and then all these other players that didn't want to play for that coach are now suddenly interested in your team. So I'm just waiting for it to all settle down. I mean, a player commits and then he decommits, and Ohio State basketball, I used to be a big fan back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but college basketball's kind of changed, and I just lost maybe a little bit of interest. There's no team loyalty anymore, maybe. It's just like one and done if you're good, you know.
Well, the reason why I'm talking about this sporting adventures, if you're reselling, if you sell clothing like that, do you see any upticks in any of the marketing stuff as far as the teams are concerned? Or do you see a decline when they're not doing as well? For example, like the Reds are not performing well. You know, Dennis, you said that the Celtics are probably the best team in the NBA right now. So are you selling any Celtic stuff, or do you hold on to it and say, I can't let this go? This is my team.
I honestly don't have that much sporting clothing. In fact, the last thing I sold was like 3 or 4 days ago, and it was a Kentucky Derby glass. And it wasn't even current. It was probably like from 10 years ago. I don't know. It's over like $5 with shipping. It was just one of these random things that reminded me of what you just said. Current events, they absolutely have an impact on what you have in your inventory. I wish I had a ton of Celtic stuff. I think I sold a Phoenix Suns hat before they were out of, I think they got out of it. I don't think they're in it anymore. That's the Western Conference. But I sold that. Other than that, I don't hold on to anything. As soon as I get it, I list it. And that goes for all the holidays. Like I see people like, oh, I'm going to wait till Christmas to list this. Why? List it now. In fact, just list it at a higher price and just wait, you know, because it will sell. Christmas sells all year long, you know, so I don't know why people would wait to do that, especially if it's a hot item. Throw it on there now. I do that for Halloween, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. St. Patty's Day too. I list all the beer stuff. But I wish I had more Celtics gear and Sox gear, but
I mean, I would think you've been in the Massachusetts area that you would have a lot of that. You would see it at a lot of yard sales and things.
I do, but it's so flooded. Like, why, you know, I don't know. Are they going to buy something used, or are they just going to go online and buy it brand new? You know, it's so competitive with that stuff. Unless you got vintage stuff, that stuff will fly. The modern stuff that's used, it just sits. So
What if you had a Larry Bird jersey from back in the day?
oh yeah. Now you're talking. Yeah. Anything Bird will sell. And I don't do sports cards before you ask. I don't do anything with sports cards. I just don't know enough about them. And it's like a different language that you have to learn. You know what I mean? And I just don't have the time to do it or the interest, to be honest with you. I never collected cards.
Yeah, along similar lines, on our podcast, we have a segment called Time Machine where we travel back to a specific year. What would we buy in that year to sell today? And last week it was 1995, I believe? 95. And Wes, do you know what significant event happened in 1995?
The Atlanta Braves won the World Series. I remember that.
Well, that's possible. I can't verify that.
That's true.
This is maybe a bigger event, or Dennis has given it away.
Yeah,
OJ Simpson.
Oh, there you go. Good. Charades. We'd be great.
If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
You must have quit.
Yeah. Or do you remember where you were when that happened?
I do.
Do you? I don't specifically know.
Where were you, Dennis? When they gave out the verdict, where were you?
Yeah, it was at my parents' house on this big giant TV set. A set. You know what I'm saying? Like this thing was a piece of furniture. And I think it was like 27 inches but it was like this long. And my father's watching it and we're all watching. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really understand a lot of what's going on here because I didn't follow it at all. And I really didn't care, to be honest with you. But now I'm like, oh man, I remember seeing it, but I wasn't like wowed at all. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to finish that thought was, I was looking back on what would I buy that was O.J. Simpson related back in 1995 to sell today, and somebody had recorded the final verdict on VHS tape, and it sold for $250 on eBay. I was like, all right, I think I would just hit record on a VHS tape and make about 10, 15, 20 copies and just start selling them off one by one.
That's insane.
But anything signed by OJ right now, just because of his death recently, is going for a lot of money.
So let's just pick a year, another arbitrary year. Let's see. I'll throw one at you all. 83. Go.
We can't do it off the top of our head. 83.
Oh, I'm doing G.I. Joe, man. I'm doing the 3.75 G.I. Joes. I'm buying all the original G.I. Joes.
I got to think where I was.
I'm buying the Hovercraft, the Sky Striker, the Rattler, all the figures, and I'm leaving all the figures just beautiful, just humidity controlled room. And then, that's it. So they're only going to have a certain amount in 83, and then it kind of really exploded in 84, 85. Right.
That's impressive, Dennis. I have to give you props for that. That is impressive.
80s. I'm the 80s toys.
That's impressive.
I freak out when I go to a yard sale, and I'm like, I think that's right there, right? And I run over there, and I'm like throwing little old ladies down. I'm like, I want that right there. Don't even think about it.
Get out of the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't it interesting, though, how you try to keep cool? You're like, okay, just...
Yep. Poker face? No, yep. I don't. They know
like,
right away.
I got to have it.
Yep. They're like, oh, we're going to rake this kid over the coals because I can already see in his eyes. He wants this so bad. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, would you do 25? They're like, oh, nope. And then I just empty my wallet. Oh, yeah, they know. I have to practice the poker face a little better, and I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Come on, Chad, give me something from 82.
Skateboard or a BMX bike? Yeah. I talked about those in the past.
BMX bike, there you go. That's what I was thinking, a BMX bike.
Yeah, big money.
Yeah, I met some guy that was into collecting BMX bikes, and he said there's some pedals from the bikes that will sell for like $400 just for the pedals. I'm like, what? So now I'm on the lookout for them all the time now. But yeah, my childhood growing up, I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to make my own BMX bike, which I took my banana seat bike that had the handlebar.
I had a banana seat on mine.
I took the banana seat off, put a regular seat on, and took the fenders off, and I was riding wheelies down the road, just like a regular, like a Tony Hawk. I don't know who's a famous BMXer. I don't know.
Is it? It's Trevor something.
Sure.
Yeah,
Trevor. Just like Trevor. Exactly like Trevor.
Yeah.
Right? He rode for Haro. Remember that brand, Haro? Haro?
Mm-mm.
That's a huge BMX. Haro, Redline,
Okay.
Mongoose.
Well, I know Mongoose,
And-
but
Yeah. Remember the grips? Do you remember those awesome grips and what they would look like and what they were called? Mushrooms. And they had all the little lines in it. And it looked like the underside of a mushroom. That was like, you had to have those on your BMX. No?
how much those are worth.
My BMX went missing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
no.
y'all have heard of Dollywood. Have y'all heard of Dollywood? Okay. Well, we had went to Dollywood, which, before it was Dollywood, it was called Silver Dollar City. And we had went up there and we spent the whole day, and I left my bike on the back porch. I come back, my bike is gone. Somebody took it while we were gone that day.
Wow.
And
So-
you've never been back to Dollywood since then. It's like so traumatic.
Scarred. He is scarred.
Scarred forever, but I mean, who's saying?
That's awful. Right off the back deck. That is terrible.
You never had your
Yeah,
bike
that was-
stolen, Dennis?
Me? No.
I did. And I
I
found
I
grew
was
up in this-
crushed. I mean, I was
This
absolutely
neighborhood, I was in this neighborhood where we had like every parent there was like our parents. Like you didn't dare do anything wrong. Like that mother would tell your mother, or I mean, we didn't get in trouble or anything, but we just rode our bikes everywhere. And you know, just like they say, you know where everybody is because all the bikes are just thrown out on the lawn. Oh, they're at that house right there.
No.
And no, never had anything.
Well, that was the
That
worst part for
cliche,
me.
Yeah,
That
like
was-
the cliche where they're like, "Oh, we never locked our doors at night." That was kind of it,
Yeah.
and it's not like that now.
My friends, the little, like you said, the little bicycle gang going from house to house to house. Well, I had to run from then on wherever I went. I didn't have a bike. Friends let me know it too. It was a rough time.
It had to be
That
somebody
sucks.
that knew. They had to know it was there.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, it was. But I have my thoughts, but you can't prove anything.
you don't want to
Of course,
say it here.
No. I mean, I was 12 years old, and it was.
yeah.
I rode that bike everywhere, and we get home and it's just gone.
Oh,
I want to get back to where you all met back up. So, Chad, you just picked up the phone, or you sent him a message and said, "Hey, we need to get together." So, what intrigued you about Denis to want to bring him on and join an alliance for a reselling podcast?
Yeah, well, he was like my third choice. No, no, I did ask a couple people that were well-known YouTubers at the time,
well known.
and I thought maybe they would be a good fit for a podcast with me, but they both turned me down. They didn't have time, and I don't want to say who they are, but I started looking on Instagram trying to find someone that really would sell similar things than me, because these two other people, they had an audience I thought they could bring to the podcast, but I didn't feel like maybe they were going to be selling the same kind of stuff that I wanted to talk about, or they would be talking about different issues. But when I would follow Denis, it's like, oh my gosh, he's buying the exact same thing I am all the time, electronics all the time, vintage all the time. And I'm like, yes, this guy would be a good fellow podcaster. And he wasn't on a podcast. And then I saw him on Kat, the Nurse Flipper's show one night. And I'm like, okay, well, now I know at least he has a webcam and he's not afraid to be on YouTube. So I'm like, hey, let's do this. And I think I contacted you like one time, and then maybe it was like 6 months later, I came back and said, hey, let's do this now. I'm ready. So.
So, Denis, you had never been on your own podcast per se. You've just been guests with others, and
Right. Yeah. No, I was on Rachel Strickland's show. She did a show, and then Rod and Kat their show, and it's about it. Now, just I like talking to resellers. I mean, it's such a weird job. There's no water cooler that we can like talk about, so we have to go online and chat about things that only you're going to know what I'm talking about, or you can feel my pain when I get a return, that type of stuff. My wife has no idea. She thinks it's she just asks, how are sales? Great. Okay. And she's not supposed to understand. You have to live this and do this routinely to get it, to understand the highs and lows and all that. So to talk to people on podcasts, I think it's awesome. It's it's rewarding for me just to know, hey, I'm not alone in this, and some of the problems I might be having, they're having, or they might give me a solution, and they know what I'm talking about. That's the biggest thing. It's like to feel validated, I guess. I don't know.
Well, when you first come in this evening, you said, "Hey, it's great to meet you," and I might not meet you any other way. This is
Right.
having good FaceTime, meeting people.
Yeah.
There is meetups that I know people do have. Have you all met each other personally? Are you looking forward to meeting each other at a meetup sometime, or what's the plan there?
Well, this summer I'm going on a trip up to Maine. We have an RV that a relative is letting us borrow for a week, so we're taking up to Maine, and the plan is to stop somewhere in Cape Cod. Sorry, Cape May's New Jersey,
Yeah.
Cape Cod, and camp for a couple days, and hopefully get to meet Denis while I'm up there. We still have to work out the logistics and everything, but I'll be in that area at least. May have to hit the yard sales, all the one yard sales.
Sure, for sure, you have to do that. That's a given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time that we have this evening on the Slim Flippers podcast. Gentlemen, Chad, you and Denis, good luck to you on your full-time Flippers Reselling podcast.
Thank you.
I appreciate you all stepping in this evening and joining me, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much, man. Good to meet you.
You too. Have a great evening.